What is up, guys? Welcome to Political Two Cents. Today we're here to talk about the debate that happened a few days ago and everything that came with it. Really quick before I start sharing these clips with you guys, I'm very surprised at the state that Joe Biden came out in. I mean, I really expected him to be on some sort of drug cocktail and have eyes wide open, not blink, just kind of rambling and screaming, but it just did not turn out that way at all. And it was, frankly, just a really horrible debate, but it was very entertaining to listen into. So let me share with you guys a couple clips and we'll get your take on it. So this is my first clip here, and it's just hilarious.
I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
I mean, I don't know, his face, he's just obviously very confused. He doesn't really know what he said, as President Trump mentioned, and to claim that he's in any way helped the situation at the border is just beyond comprehension at this point. Let's move on to the next clip, and we'll let you guys see what you think.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Again, just really somebody who doesn't have the lights on. I'm sorry to say it, and it may be disrespectful, but I think it's a true characterization of what I see when I see this person talk. Just completely getting lost and fumbling over words. So of course, after the debate, President Trump and his team took the liberty to kind of summarize all the moments of the debate and sync it up with some scary kind of solemn music. Let's take a listen into this. And
Folks, how are you? Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna. I'm proposing that everybody the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I've not raised the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
So there's really no words for me to describe the amount of false claims that were given in that compilation of Biden's speeches that he gave at the debate, or his segments, if you will. And I think overall everybody kind of saw what we've all been seeing for a really long time now. He's not there. He's not the one in charge, and he's not making decisions. He's going to the beach and eating ice cream. I mean, I'm sorry to say it, you know, there's good things about Democrats and there's good things about Republicans, and there's bad things about Democrats and there's bad things about Republicans. But I wouldn't want that person effectively in charge of my well-being, and or, you know, the economy, right, that I have to live in. You know, we all have to make money. We want to feed and provide for our families and, you know, live halfway decent lives. And this is the person that's, you know, running the show, so to speak. So, you know, we're gonna kind of go on and see, you know, a couple clips of how CNN interpreted this disaster, and I'm really surprised that they spoke the way that they did, frankly, because, you know, obviously we know CNN, MSNBC, ABC, they're very strongly Democrat, pro-Democrat. So let's just take a look at this first clip here.
Told for weeks by Democrats who say, oh, in private meetings, I've seen Joe Biden do cartwheels and handstands while doing trigonometry while solving all the nation's problems. We now know that every single person who said that has been lying to the American people. Told for.
So yeah, I mean, essentially they just summarized what we've already known for many, many years now, right? You know, the past 3 years, essentially since he's been president, he just hasn't been there mentally. And, you know, we see him when he gives his speeches, right, stumbling and bumbling over words and essentially just saying things that aren't true, confusing people that aren't alive for people that are alive, falling asleep. I mean, you have to think, what do other people, you know, who are potentially our enemies, right? What do they think of us when they say, oh, well, that guy's in charge. I can pretty much do whatever I want. And, you know, I'm not just saying that because I don't like Joe Biden. And the reason I don't like him is not because I don't like him as a person. I just think he's done a horrible job. His policies have been really bad, and, you know, it's shown in the price of my groceries, for one. So take a look at another clip. You know, these are some of the people who have essentially been lying over the past 3 years, saying that Joe Biden, you know, he's all there. He's he's super sharp, and he's, you know, pays attention to so many details. And so let's just remind ourselves, you know, what these people have been telling you. And, you know, Karine Jean-Pierre is a serial liar as it is.
He is not just my boss, or, you know, he's also a mentor to me. And I've spent sometimes countless hours with him, whether it's in the Oval Office, whether it's on the road. And I believe, for me, you're asking me my personal opinion, he is sharp. He is on top of things. When we have meetings with him, with his staff, he's constantly pushing us, trying to get more information. And so that has been my experience with this president. Anything else outside of that, I just shared with you what Dr. O'Connor said to me, and so I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, this same speech has been going on for the past 3 years, that people have been questioning his mental acuity, and we've essentially gotten the same answer, right? That he's sharp as a tack, and he's alert, and he's all over out. You know, he's all over everything. So we'll go to another one here.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I'm sure that everybody saw that he was just insanely sharp on the debate stage. I mean, we couldn't believe how sharp that he was. And I mean, these are kind of just the lies that, you know, they've been feeding us. And you know, I've never obviously believed them, but a majority of people consume their news from these other news networks, and it's really sad. And that's essentially why I wanted to start this channel, is hopefully I can, you know, shed some lights and some common sense on things that are going on in the world, and look at things a little bit objectively for you guys. So one thing that I thought was really interesting was that CNN went out of their way and did a huge fact check on some of the things that Joe Biden claimed. And we'll kind of just take a look and go into it.
He's the only president in a while who didn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world. Troops have, of course, died on his watch. He said he's put in a $15 per shot cap on insulin and Medicare. It's a $35 a month cap. He said it's a $200 cap on overall drug spending in Medicare. It's $2,000 a year. He said the border now has fewer crossings than when Trump was in office. That's generally not true. He said, or at least strongly suggested, unemployment was at 15% when he took office. It was actually 6.4. He said Trump wants to get rid of Social Security. Trump doesn't. He said billionaires pay 8.2% in taxes. It's much higher. He said Trump told Americans to inject bleach amid COVID. We know Trump made foolish comments about scientists studying disinfectant injection, but didn't frame it as advice to people. And Biden said the Border Patrol endorsed him. No, its union supported the border bill he'd supported, never endorsed him himself. In some of them, he said.
So yeah, I mean, exactly what you'd expect, right? Just essentially just trying to tell a bunch of lies and sell yourself to make yourself look good. You know, and that you've done a lot of things for the country when you really haven't. And I think that there's a couple people at CNN that have essentially nicely summarized what we saw, and I'm surprised that they did it. I don't know if they'll have jobs, you know, in the coming weeks, but the summary that they gave is really funny.
That the two of them decided after November of 2022 that he was going to seek the presidency when there were so many people who thought he should have turned it over to a new generation. And this has been, quite frankly, a car accident in slow motion that we've seen over and building and questioning it. And, you know, as has been pointed out, Joe Biden sought this debate at this remarkably early time because he knew he was losing and he needed to change the narrative. Yep. And he did change the narrative. He sunk his campaign tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he's just hit the nail on the head, spot on. It just absolutely just sunk tonight. And this is the last clip that I have for you guys.
If anybody in America thinks that was even close to being an okay debate by Joe Biden, I'm living in a parallel universe. That was an unmitigated disaster for President Biden from the second he walked out to the closing statement. The biggest issue for Democrats is abortion, and he couldn't give an answer. He gave an answer, he couldn't even give a coherent answer on the biggest issue for Democrats tonight. I've heard from leading Democrats across the United States, elected governors, congressmen, who are texting me and saying, I'm worried I'm going to lose if Joe Biden's at the top of the ticket. If anybody in a...
Yeah, I mean, I have no words. I'd like to know what you guys think. You know, drop a comment below if you think that this is somebody that you would continue to support. But I mean, really think about it. Like, are you supporting this person just because you don't like Donald Trump? And if so, you know, why don't you like Donald Trump? Is it because he's, you know, he's cocky, he's, you know, sometimes he's kind of a loose cannon on social media, things like that. And who would you really want, you know, essentially kind of being in charge of your household, right? Let's say you had to put one of these two in charge of your home and your family's well-being. These are all questions that we need to ask ourselves. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining, and we'll catch you in the next one.